Picture this: everything you've ever believed about where we came from, poof, gone in an instant. What if the story of human creation wasn't a divine sculptor molding clay in a single, perfect act, but a wild, cosmic experiment orchestrated by forces beyond our wildest imagination? Edgar Cayce, the sleeping prophet, didn't just nudge the boundaries of faith, he obliterated them with revelations that make you question the very fabric of existence. His visions pull back the curtain on a universe where humanity's origins are tangled in mystery, light, and otherworldly architects. Buckle up, because this journey into Cayce's mind will leave you rethinking life, God, and our place in the cosmos. Stick around, this is going to be a ride you won't forget. Edgar Cayce wasn't your average mystic. Born in 1877 in rural Kentucky, he grew up a devout Christian, yet his life took a turn into the extraordinary when he discovered he could enter a trance-like state and channel answers to life's deepest questions. Known as the Sleeping Prophet, Cayce gave over 14,000 documented readings, addressing everything from health remedies to cosmic mysteries. His words weren't vague platitudes, they were detailed, vivid, and often unsettlingly precise. He spoke of lost civilizations, spiritual mechanics, and truths that made even the most open-minded squirm. What made Cayce different was his humility. He wasn't preaching from a pulpit or chasing fame. He was a quiet man, often conflicted about his own abilities, yet his insights drew thousands, from everyday folks to scholars, all hungry for a glimpse into the unseen. Cayce's process was as fascinating as his messages. Lying on a couch, he'd close his eyes, slip into a deep trance, and speak with a clarity that seemed to come from somewhere, or someone, else. His readings blended Christian theology with esoteric ideas, pulling from sources as diverse as the Bible, ancient mysticism, and what he claimed were the Akashic records, a kind of cosmic library holding the history of every soul. Skeptics called it nonsense, believers called it revelation. But no one could deny the impact. Cayce's work didn't just offer answers, it challenged the very foundations of how we understand our existence. Why does this matter? Because Cayce's revelations about human origins weren't abstract theories. They were specific, layered, and backed by a track record of eerie accuracy. He predicted events like the 1929 stock market crash and the discovery of ancient ruins, often years in advance. So when he spoke about humanity's creation, people listened. His vision wasn't just a story, it was a paradigm shift, one that forced us to confront uncomfortable questions about who we are and who, or what, brought us into being. Let's dive into the heart of his most controversial claim, that humans weren't directly crafted by God's hands but were shaped by a cosmic collaboration that's far stranger than any Sunday school lesson. Cayce's take on human creation isn't the tidy Genesis tale of God breathing life into dust. Instead, he paints a picture of a universe buzzing with activity, where spiritual entities, cosmic architects, played a starring role in shaping humanity. These weren't gods in the ultimate sense, but advanced beings, shimmering with light and wielding knowledge of energy and matter that makes our tech look like child's play. Picture them as celestial engineers, tasked with a divine blueprint but given the freedom to experiment. According to Cayce, these architects used Earth's raw materials, its elements, its energies, and fused them with something otherworldly to create vessels for human souls. This wasn't a one-and-done act but a process, messy and experimental, spanning eons. Here's where it gets wild. Cayce says these architects weren't perfect. They were wise, sure, but not infallible. Their early attempts at crafting human bodies were like prototypes, some worked, some didn't. Imagine translucent, glowing figures wandering a primordial earth, more spirit than flesh, communicating through telepathy and moving with a freedom we can't fathom. These early humans weren't bound by gravity or hunger, they were beings of light, their consciousness tethered to the divine. But something shifted. Cayce claims these souls, drawn to the physical world's allure, began to densify, their luminous forms hardening into something closer to our current bodies. The architects scrambled to adapt, tweaking designs to balance spirit and matter. Some experiments flopped, bodies too fragile, souls too disconnected, while others laid the groundwork for what we are today. This idea flips the script on traditional creation stories. Instead of a perfect God crafting a perfect human, we get a dynamic, trial-and-error process guided by intermediaries. It's not that God was absent. Cayce saw the divine as the ultimate source, setting universal laws in motion, but the hands-on work was delegated. This raises big questions. Why would God outsource creation? Was it to give souls free will, letting them shape their own destiny through these cosmic middlemen? And if the process was imperfect, what does that say about us? Are we still carrying the flaws of those early experiments in our DNA, our psyche, our very being? My take? This perspective doesn't diminish the divine, it amplifies it. It suggests a universe where creation is collaborative, where even the divine trusts others to carry out its vision. It's like a master architect designing a cathedral but letting skilled artisans carve the details. The result is a humanity that's not just a product but a participant in an ongoing cosmic story. Cayce's vision forces us to see ourselves as co-creators, not just creations, tied to a purpose that's still unfolding. But to understand that purpose, we need to look at where this all began, at a place Cayce claimed was real, Atlantis. Atlantis. The name alone sparks images of a lost paradise, a civilization swallowed by the sea. For Cayce, Atlantis wasn't a myth but a cornerstone of human history, a place where the cosmic architect set up shop. He described it as a hub of spiritual and technological marvels, where beings of light and early humans coexisted in a world where science and mysticism were one. Picture towering crystal spires glowing with energy, skies alive with strange crafts, and humans, still half ethereal, learning to navigate their new physical forms. Atlantis wasn't just a city, it was a laboratory, a proving ground where the architects refined their craft. Cayce's reading suggests Atlantis was home to advanced beings who understood how to manipulate matter and energy. They used tools, crystals, vibrational technologies, that sound like sci-fi but were, in Cayce's view, real. These beings guided the first humans, teaching them to balance their divine spark with their growing attachment to the physical world. But harmony didn't last. Cayce describes a split in Atlantis, a clash between those who wanted to preserve humanity's spiritual purity and others who saw physical bodies as tools for power. This wasn't just philosophy, it led to experiments that changed everything. Genetic tampering, energy manipulation, even crossbreeding with other forms of life, Cayce says these were real. Some Atlanteans, drunk on their own abilities, pushed boundaries too far, creating hybrid beings that couldn't sustain themselves. Others densified human bodies, anchoring souls deeper into matter. This wasn't just a fall from grace, it was a deliberate shift, driven by ambition and curiosity. The result? Humanity became heavier, more material, less connected to the divine. Atlantis itself paid the price, collapsing under the weight of its own hubris, sinking into legend. Here's my angle: Atlantis isn't just a cool story, it's a warning. Cayce's Atlantis mirrors our own world, where tech and ambition often outpace ethics. Think about it, we're tinkering with DNA, and quantum tech, just like they did. Are we repeating their mistakes, chasing power at the cost of our spiritual core? Cayce's Atlantis suggests our history is cyclical, great societies rise, overreach, and fall. But it also hints at hope. If we carry the legacy of Atlantis in our genes, we also carry its wisdom. Maybe the key to avoiding their fate lies in remembering who we were before the fall, beings of light, not just flesh. Cayce's most haunting revelation is what he called the fall. Long before we were flesh and blood, humans existed as pure energy, radiant and limitless. Imagine it, no pain, no aging, just pure consciousness flowing in harmony with the universe. These early souls danced between dimensions, their thoughts shaping reality itself. But then, something changed. Drawn to the physical world's intensity, its textures, its pleasures, souls began to crave embodiment. This wasn't a punishment. It was a choice, a pull toward experience that the spiritual realm couldn't offer. As souls leaned into matter, their forms densified. The cosmic architects, trying to keep up, crafted sturdier bodies to house these adventurous spirits. But there was a catch: the denser the body, the weaker the connection to the divine. Telepathy faded, replaced by clumsy speech. Freedom gave way to gravity, hunger, fear. Cayce says this shift wasn't smooth. Some souls resisted, others dove in headfirst, and the architects struggled to balance the equation. The result was a humanity that forgot its origins, trapped in bodies that felt more like cages than vessels. What's my take? This fall isn't just ancient history, it's a metaphor for our lives today. How often do we chase fleeting pleasures, money, status, stuff, and lose sight of our deeper purpose? Cayce's fall reminds us that we're still those luminous beings, just buried under layers of distraction. The pain of physical life, the struggle, it's all a classroom. Every heartbreak, every triumph, is teaching us something our pure spirit selves couldn't learn. Cayce saw this as evolution, not decline, a chance to grow through limitation. The question is, can we reclaim that spark without losing ourselves to the material world again? Here's where Cayce drops his biggest bombshell: God didn't directly shape our bodies. Instead, the Creator set the stage, laid down universal laws, and let the cosmic architects take the wheel. This wasn't abandonment, it was intentional. God, in Cayce's view, is the source of all life, the spark behind every soul, but the nitty-gritty of physical creation was outsourced. Why? Free will. By giving souls and their architects autonomy, God allowed creation to be a collaborative, evolving process, not a top-down mandate. This idea shakes the core of traditional faith. If God didn't handcraft us, why are we so flawed? Cayce's answer: our imperfections are part of the plan. Disease, death, struggle, they're not punishments but tools for growth. The architect's mistakes, the fall into density, all of it serves a purpose: to teach souls resilience, love, and wisdom through the crucible of physical life. God isn't distant out of neglect but by design, guiding us through the laws of the universe rather than direct intervention. My perspective? This reframes God from a micromanaging deity to a cosmic strategist. It's empowering, in a way. If we're co-creators in this grand experiment, our choices matter. Every step toward compassion, every moment of clarity, is us aligning with the divine plan. But it's also humbling. Our flaws, our pain, they're not accidents but lessons. Cayce's God isn't a puppeteer, he's a teacher, watching us stumble, learn, and grow. This makes faith less about blind obedience and more about active participation in a universe that's still writing its story. Cayce's revelations don't just challenge creation stories, they demand a new kind of faith. If humanity's origins involve cosmic architects, Atlantis, and a fall from light, where does that leave religion? For some, it's heresy, a direct assault on sacred texts. But Cayce didn't reject God or Scripture, he expanded them, blending Christian roots with a broader, more mystical worldview. He saw faith as a journey inward, not a checklist of dogmas. His reading suggests that all spiritual traditions, Christianity, Buddhism, ancient mysticism, point to the same truth: we're divine sparks on a quest to remember our source. This shift is seismic. Traditional religion often leans on external authority, scripture, priests, rituals. Cayce flips that, urging us to seek truth within through meditation, prayer, and service. It's not about abandoning faith but evolving it. Science and spirituality, often at odds, find common ground here. If creation was a cosmic process, then studying DNA or quantum physics is just another way to explore the divine. Cayce's vision invites us to see religion not as a cage but as a map, guiding us back to our luminous origins. My take? This is liberating but daunting. It asks us to take responsibility for our spiritual growth, to question rigid doctrines, and to embrace mystery. It also bridges divides, science and faith, East and West, by suggesting they're two sides of the same coin. But it's not easy. Letting go of literal interpretations means facing uncertainty, and that scares people. Yet, Cayce's message is hopeful: every soul has a purpose, and every struggle is a step toward awakening. The challenge is living that truth every day. Cayce didn't just reveal our origins, he offered a roadmap to reclaim our lost light. The fall into density wasn't the end, it was the start of a journey. Our physical bodies, flawed as they are classrooms for the soul. Through challenges, pain, loss, love, we learn virtues that pure spirits couldn't grasp. Patience in suffering. Compassion in conflict. Courage in fear. Cayce believed we could reconnect with the divine by raising our vibration, aligning our lives with love and service. How? Cayce was practical. Meditation to quiet the mind and hear the soul's whisper. Prayer to connect with the divine. Acts of kindness to break the grip of materialism. He saw figures like Jesus as blueprints, humans who lived so aligned with the divine that they transcended physical limits. This isn't about becoming superhuman, it's about remembering we're more than human. Every choice to forgive, to create, to love, is a step back toward the light we once were. My reflection: this is where Cayce's vision hits home. We're not stuck. Every day is a chance to rewrite our story, to choose light over density. It's not about escaping life but embracing it as a sacred challenge. I see it in small moments: helping a stranger, finding peace in chaos, chasing a dream despite fear. Cayce's path isn't a quick fix, it's a lifelong commitment to growth. But it's worth it. If we're sparks of the divine, then every step forward is a step toward home. So, where does this leave us? Edgar Cayce's revelations aren't just a wild story, they're a mirror, reflecting who we are and who we could be. We're not just products of a cosmic experiment, we're active players in a universe that's still evolving. Take a moment today, meditate, reflect, act with kindness, and see how it shifts your perspective. If Cayce's right, every choice matters. Subscribe for more deep dives into the mysteries of existence, hit that bell, and share this video with someone who's ready to question everything. Let's keep exploring the truth together.